Live from your local news leader, KAMR Local 4 News at 10 starts now.
We're not here for any free handouts. We're here to fight to put PFAS on the map so we can have legislation to help protect consumers.
Art Scopp is a dairy farmer who lives near Cannon Air Force Base just outside of Clovis. Today, he is in the nation's capital asking the government to restrict and regulate PFAS chemicals. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Last night, we brought you part one of his story.
He says his water is at Highland Dairy is contaminated by harmful PFAS chemicals the Air Force used to put out jet fuel fires for decades.
So the packing houses don't want to buy my cows, the milk plants don't want to buy my milk, and for food safety reasons, we are not selling the cows or selling the milk.
Scopp has filed suit against the manufacturers of firefighting foam containing PFAS chemicals. Documents show PFAS have contaminated his water sources. He says it's rendered his dairy and cows worthless. A sample from one well on Scopp's dairy had levels more than 200 times the EPA's standard. An expert tells us PFAS exposure is linked to many health problems, including various forms of cancer. Now the state of New Mexico is getting involved.
Now tonight, part two, just how widespread is the PFAS contamination?
And what are the EPA and Department of Defense doing to clean it up?
KMR Local 4's Kaylee Green has our I-Team investigation.
The New Mexico Environment Department issued a notice of violation to Cannon Air Force Base on November 30th with two stipulations. A. Identify short-term solutions for dairies like Scopp's. And B. Look into installing water treatment systems. The Air Force has responded to the notice of violation, but the Environment Department says there is no further update on the notice. On March 5th, the state of New Mexico filed suit to compel the military to address PFAS contamination at both Cannon and Holloman Air Force bases. Environment Secretary James Kenney said in part, in addition to violating environmental laws, the Air Force violated our public trust. Today, we begin holding them accountable. The complaint alleges the Air Force violated the state's Hazardous Waste Act and that the contamination is a danger to communities on and off base. The state requests immediate injunctive relief from the court that requires the Air Force to clean up contamination at both bases. We did reach out to the Air Force for comment. In a statement, Air Force spokesman Major Nicholas Mercurio said, quote, "We do not comment on ongoing litigation." Each day that goes by without a solution, Scopp says he loses more money.
They say that they want to help, but nothing's getting done. They are supplying only water for drinking water for human consumption, and they have no intention on doing any water replacement for the dairy cows. That's our 401k, and as at this point I have a zero value on that.
Scopp's lawyers say they have also filed a claim under the Federal Tort Claims Act to sue the United States Air Force for their use of firefighting foam, which led to the PFAS contamination at Highland Dairy. The Air Force has 6 months to respond.
It seems to be relatively easy for them to fix it, but I think they're afraid of the precedent.
However, according to U.S. Representative Mac Thornberry, the DoD, including the Air Force, is dependent upon the EPA to provide targets for the cleanup work.
That's not something that the Pentagon has any expertise to figure out on its own. So it is one part of the government that is basically waiting on another part of the government to use their scientists and expertise to tell us what's right.
Scopp's Dairy is just one example of PFAS contamination. In March of last year, the DoD presented its most recent information to the House Armed Services Committee and its then chairman, Representative Thornberry. According to that report, 126 current and former military installations, mostly in the U.S., had contamination levels at or above the acceptable 70 parts per trillion in drinking and groundwater sources. Now, as site inspections continue, the DoD and Air Force continue to test water sources on and nearby more military bases, including Cannon Air Force Base, which was tested in 2018.
Our first deal was to try to get our arms around the size of the problem when it comes to the military. Of course, it's not just a military problem. It has been used at airports, a whole variety of places, civilian and so forth.
PFAS have been used at airports, by some fire stations, and even in many consumer products, including nonstick cookware.
This is just not an Air Force issue. This is just not a Department of Defense issue. there is PFAS and PFOA contamination all over the country.
Mark Carell, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Environment, Safety, and Infrastructure, says right now the Air Force is providing clean drinking water at 21 locations where water is contaminated. At this point, Carell says no PFAS cleanup has started on any Air Force installations.
I'm a 29-year Air Force veteran. I lived on all these bases. I drank this water. I'm sure I've got PFAS and PFOA in my bloodstream like everybody else. I care, and I have kids. They're in the same boat.
This is a life and safety issue. People are dying.
A bipartisan PFAS task force was established in Washington in January.
We really have to get EPA to understand that this is a threat to our communities.
Right now, there are no federal regulations specifically for PFAS. That's why the task force is urging the EPA to establish an enforceable nationwide drinking water standard. Acting EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler says they'll have a proposal by the end of 2019.
EPA has already begun the regulatory development process for listing PFOA and PFAS as hazardous substances under the Superfund statute. This important work will provide additional tools to help states and communities address existing contamination and recover costs from responsible parties.
Representative Thornberry says the DoD needs EPA standards to take the next step.
You're telling us this could be a problem, but you're not telling us what the goal should be in the cleanup efforts. And it has been essentially impossible for DoD or municipal water utilities around the country or anybody else to really begin the cleanup work.
SCOP just wants a solution.
In New Mexico, water is life. In West Texas, water is life. Without water in our groundwater, that we cannot farm, we can't have animals, and we can't survive without water, good water.
Scott tells me he believes one day a solution will be reached. Until then, he hopes for a good outcome in his lawsuit against foam manufacturers, and that the Air Force or other responsible parties will buy his land so he can move to a place with clean water and continue to work his dairy farm. Jackie and Andy.
Okay, so Kaylee, good job on this story. Tell us what's being done right now to help people like Scott who have been exposed to PFAS.
Well, Jackie, a bill introduced by U.S. legislators would ensure the DoD can help ag producers facing groundwater contamination from military bases and require a nationwide cleanup plan.
Okay, so then with all that considered, what happens when the EPA sets the standards for the cleanup?
Well, Andy, Air Force officials at the Pentagon tell me once the EPA establishes those federal regulations and cleaning standards for PFAS chemicals, they will fully comply with the law. But at the end of April, the EPA released a draft plan to deal with high levels of PFAS in ground and drinking water. But some lawmakers and environmentalists are not happy. They say it's just not enough.
So the end of April, just a few weeks ago.
Sure. Yes.
All right, Kaylee, thank you.
Lawmakers have also proposed legislation that would provide a health care plan through the VA to those exposed to PFAS on military bases. We have so much more on MyHighPlains.com, including supporting documents, interview clips, including Kaylee's full exclusive interview with Representative Mac Thornberry, as well as applicable regulations for PFAS there in New Mexico.